You smell what the Rock is cooking.
WBCB presents Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Tell me he didn't just say that.
Call in with a question or comment at 215-949-3232 or 888-922-2149.
The Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour, funky like a monkey, oh yeah.
And now, here's your host of Pro Wrestling Weekly, Fearon Derry.
It doesn't matter what your name is. Really? Yeah!
Yes, we are on. Hello and welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you, at least for a half hour. That's right, an abbreviated show after getting bumped last week. This week, though, it's courtesy of the Philadelphia Phillies. They're up in New York for, I think they're taking on the Mets, something like that. But so much to talk about. We'll leave that by the wayside. Of course, Money in the Bank was this past Sunday. I got the chance to be there live, living it up in the luxury box, kind of a night of naching, along with Mike Samsel and quite a few other cohorts. And it was a blast, to say the least. Let's go over the results of Money in the Bank before we get into anything else here. In the pre-show match, in case you missed it, The Shield beating the Usos to retain the tag titles. Got that one right. Didn't get a whole lot of, well, I got more right than I did wrong. That's for sure, and we'll delve into that a little bit more. Had as I mentioned, the video webisode, partly because I was fighting a 100-plus fever and a sore throat. I held off until close to the end of the weekend, just before we went inside to Money in the Bank, did I put up a video webisode. So in case you missed that, you can check out Pro Wrestling Weekly on YouTube and check that out. It's pretty much just the predictions certain to go wrong for the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. And you had Damian Sandow. I certainly didn't see that one coming, beating Cody Rhodes, Fandango, Jack Swagger, Antonio Cesaro, Wade Barrett, and Dean Ambrose to win the Money in the Bank World Championship briefcase. Curtis Axel, he retained the Intercontinental title, beating The Miz in just under 10 minutes. AJ Lee defeating Caitlyn to retain the Divas title. Ryback beating Chris Jericho. I got that one right. The little munchkin, not so much. Alberto Del Rio beating Dolph Ziggler by disqualification. That's right. AJ coming out with the Divas belt and striking Del Rio with it in plain view of the referee to get Ziggler disqualified. What she was thinking there, whether it was intentional or not, I don't know. Didn't seem that way. And then John Cena beating Mark Henry by submission to retain the WWE Championship. That wasn't really a surprise there. Randy Orton, I got to give the kid credit. He picked that one and I didn't. I went with the money bet of Daniel Bryan, and, well, these things happen. Randy Orton beating CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Sheamus, Christian, and Rob Van Dam to win the WWE Championship contract, that red briefcase, as it were, from Money in the Bank. Definitely a lot of fun. I actually had a couple live experiences last week. As last Saturday I got to check out the Trenton show, and then one night later I got to Money in the Bank. So definitely a fill of wrestling. It definitely it doesn't leave you after a while. And already we've got a match set for SummerSlam thanks to this Monday on Raw. John Cena getting to choose his opponent. And he decided to go with what the fans were chanting. Yes, 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 yes. It's going to be John Cena against Daniel Bryan for SummerSlam coming up in August. So we've got a month build for that and plenty to talk about there. We also have a new TNA World Champion, Chris Sabin, cashing in, speaking of cashing in, his X Division Championship to get a World Championship shot at Bully Ray. And, well, thanks to a little bit of interference and a hammer to the back of the head, Chris Sabin lucking out after getting beat up in about 17 of the 18-minute match. He pulls it out and beats Bully Ray to become the new TNA World Heavyweight Champion. So lots of stuff to talk about. Got some news and notes coming your way. Again, we're only here until 12:35, and then we take you to the Phillies. So let's go ahead and we'll knock some phone calls out of the way. People already hanging on, so we'll get to them in just a second here, starting off with... Let's go. We got music. We got all kinds of stuff here. Let's start with Ed, I believe. Ed from the Northeast. Ed, what's going on?
Good afternoon. We have WWE coming in. Hello.
Yeah, we got you. You're here.
We got WWE in Philadelphia coming up in October.
Yes, that was announced during the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. For those who didn't catch it, WWE Live will be at the Wells Fargo Center once again on October 13th, which is that is a Sunday evening, and it's actually straddling. It's right in between a couple of pay-per-views. It's 1 week after the Over the Limit pay-per-view, which would be October 6th, and 2 weeks prior to Hell in a Cell on October 27th.
And they live tomorrow at the Trocadero with special guest Roddy Piper.
Roddy Piper is going to be in the house for a viewing of They Live.
Yes.
Interesting. I might have to see if I can do what I can do about making my way over to that. What time's that all going down at the Troc?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. Oh, man, I might have to leave the beach a little early for that one. I don't know. The beach or see They Live with Roddy Piper? Ooh, that is a tough decision. All right, what else you got for me,
And
Ed?
This is just a rumor right now about WrestleMania coming to Philly.
I've been hearing that, and I'm of the belief that I'll believe it when I see it, when it's officially announced. I think that's drummed up more by hope than it is by actual plans. The fact that WrestleMania 29 this year was a success in a cold weather stadium, of North Jersey, MetLife Stadium, certainly gives a little bit more hope for it. Philadelphia has always been a very loyal market when it comes to WWE. And
wait and see.
yeah, that's kind of where it's at. I mean, I think they probably won't announce anything until they still have to get through New Orleans and WrestleMania 30 before they can look to 2015 and beyond. They can only go one at a time here. They can't start. I don't think they're going to get to the level of the Super Bowl where they're planning a WrestleMania, 2, 3, 4 years in advance, as you've seen with Super Bowls. I mean, Olympics, they do it once every 4 years, so they're planning that like 15 years in advance, something like that. They're already planning, the 2024 games, and here we are in 2013? Something crazy like that?
It would be nice.
We'll see. Well, it's all up to different kinds of speculation and things like that.
Have a nice time on the beach.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Every once in a while, I get some R&R. All right, thanks so much, Ed, for the call.
It's going to be too hot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I waited until after the heat wave to make my way over there when it cools down a little bit. Thanks so much for the call, Ed. Greatly appreciate it. We'll keep the phones going here, and we'll go over to Dan calling from the Windy City, Chicago. Long time no talk, Dan. What's going on?
What's going on? I've been around, though. I've been on the message board.
Oh, yeah, you've been around. Yeah, you've been around digitally, but not necessarily telephonically.
I'll be back every now and then.
I know. Yeah, the honey. It's the summertime. You got the honey-do list going on. The wifey can't let you call in. I see how it is. It's all right.
It's nothing like that. But let's talk wrestling. I'll keep it short.
Just a little Mahoney busting. That's all.
I kind of got an idea in my head. I've been kind of thinking about with the money in the bank for next year. What if you have, you still have the 2 Money in the Bank matches. You have the same briefcase, though. It's 2 briefcases looking the same. And what if you have that guy who wins each briefcase decide on what title to go for instead of Raw on one side, SmackDown on the other? What if it's 2 briefcases looking alike, and that person gets to decide on what title he goes for?
I'm kind of following along. So does that mean with the 2 briefcases, does that mean it's double the people? So you have 14 people going for...
It's 2 matches. You have Raw, SmackDown, the same briefcase on one side, and you have the same identical briefcase on the other match. You have 2 briefcases looking identical. You have 2 different matches. The one guy wins it on Raw. Ooh, I don't just get to decide Raw. I get to decide SmackDown. And then the other guy pulls it down. Ooh, I get to decide Raw or SmackDown.
So you could potentially have 2 challengers for one belt and no challengers for another. That's the only...
No. What you do is you still have the two, like I said, you still have the two Raw and SmackDown, matches. And you still have those two world titles being on the line with the briefcases. With the SmackDown guy, he wins the briefcase, but it's not only... I'm trying to decide this. Think
okay, so you're saying that instead of having a brand-specific briefcase or a title-specific briefcase, you have two winners, and each winner can choose to challenge for whichever title at whatever point.
Right.
Okay, now I see where you're going. For some reason, I'm thinking the winner of Royal Rumble chooses in advance. I'm thinking all right, I've won this briefcase. Now I have to decide which one it is at that moment. No, I see what you mean. So the briefcase is a universal cash-in for either the WWE or World Championship.
Right. Instead of doing the same thing with Raw, SmackDown, it gets kind of boring. Well, because I think last year John got confused because Dolph Ziggler had the briefcase for so long. He's like, oh, he get to decide on either one. I'm like, no, it's only for...
It's only for the World Championship, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now I see where you're going with that. No,
I think it'd be a little bit better than doing the same thing over and over again.
It does make some sense, yes. I could see. I thought you were going in a different direction where you have to choose in advance, and that's where I was perplexed.
You still have the whole year to decide. You know what I mean? You still have.
They were trying to create a hybrid of the Money in the Bank and the Feast or Fired match in TNA. That's where I was getting. No wonder. Anytime you put TNA rules in it, of course it's going to get confusing.
Right. And TNA is getting kind of confusing too. You fire all these people, but you buy a $25,000, $50,000 belt.
Yeah, I was going to get into that. I mean, of course, the debut of the X Division belt, but
it looks like the Intercontinental title anyway.
Yeah, I wonder how much influence. I wonder how much influence Bruce Prichard had on that, but he was one of the people Future endeavored in the latest set of cuts. I'll quick go to that news story. TNA parting ways with Senior Vice President of Programming and Talent Relations Bruce Prichard. Of course, you remember him for a long time working for WWE and WWF, and even back in the day being on camera as Brother Love, if you remember going way back. Of course, TNA headquartered in Nashville. This is from Dixie Carter. And as we move forward, our creative team and executive leadership will be here in Nashville with us. Bruce's dedication and passion for TNA and Impact Wrestling will be missed, and we thank him for the incredible work he has done for us. We wish him all the very best. She made sure to leave out in his future endeavors.
So, do you think they're in trouble?
It doesn't look good. I mean, it's not like it's just Bruce Prichard being let go. D'Lo Brown, who we had on this program, not too long ago, he addressed his departure from TNA on Twitter this past Thursday. He said, "I guess it's time to address the rumors surrounding me over the last few days. It is true that my employment with TNA has come to an end. I consider myself fortunate to have worked so closely with some of the best up-and-coming talent in the business. I also had the privilege to work closely with some of the greatest this industry has produced. I can tell you this for sure. I will miss sharing a locker room with most of the genuine men and women, you know who you are. Careful now. That I have ever been around. I want to say thank you to the many fans that have shown support for me over the years. I will keep everyone updated on what my future plans are." And he went on to post booking information as well.
That's a good guy right there, too. Chicago guy. Also, too, he used to be on, I don't want to plug another show, but everybody knows who Brian Fritz is from Between the Ropes.
Yes.
He's been around the business a long time.
Oh, yeah. No. Lots of respect for Brian Fritz. That's fine. It's not about competition here. It's all.
He's a good asset to that show, too. He's a good guy.
Yeah, most definitely. But on top of that, I mean, I mentioned the two executives, talent cuts as well. TNA announcing that Tara, Lisa Marie Fearon, has been released from her contract, and also Drew Hankinson, who you better saw as Doc in TNA, announced that his contract expired on the 12th, a week ago yesterday. He said, "As of this evening, we have officially parted ways," and Hankinson you also might remember from WWE as Luke Gallows as well as Festus. So
that makes no sense. He's in a heavily storyline with Aces and Eight. I don't understand that one at all.
I don't know if he wanted out of his contract or if if it's just a matter of, well, we can't afford to keep you.
And Matt Morgan too. That was a huge shock.
Yeah, there's a lot of head scratchers to say the least. But I'm up against Yeah, I'm pretty close up against the break here. We're already halfway through the show. It's crazy here.
I'll let you go. One last thing. The one thing that we have to be worried about is if there's going to be a TNA Ready to Rumble Part 2, then TNA's in major trouble.
Oh, dear. I don't think they're going to... Well, I think the rights to Ready to Rumble... thanks so much for the call, Dan. I think the rights to Ready to Rumble are owned by WWE since they bought up all of the assets. Although, I don't know. I mean, it might be a part ownership thing. You know, it's reasons like that why certain, TV show reruns aren't on the air because of, they're owned by like 7 different companies and all of them want their piece of the proverbial pie. It's probably why we won't see Scrabble reruns or Sale of the Century, those Reg Grundy shows going back to, I know, I'm going back to my childhood of the 80s for just using that as one example. Anyway, we're going to take care of some business, come back, got some more news and notes, including info on, we finally got the toxicology report on the original Doink the Clown, Matt Osborne. Also, a little something to tell you about for next week. Definitely a big thing. I know I've been talking about it for quite a while. Also, a possible leak in the WWE higher-ups. Say it ain't so. We'll talk about that and a whole bunch more. Taking you to 12:35 and Phillies baseball. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.